Okay, this is your countdown. 2 more days. And I actually goofed up because I was thinking tomorrow was the 31st. On Monday was the 1st, but I'm wrong. So, January, Sunday is the 1st. The 2nd is a Monday, but go day we're going to do on Tuesday because I said we were going to do it on Tuesday, so that's the day we're going to stick with. So, well, you've got 2 more days after today. So look at it like that. My mistake is kind of bought you kind of an extra day. All right. Now, as far as the size goes, some people will say to stand on it and it should come up your armpit, but you can tell this one doesn't quite come up to my armpit. It's probably a good 4, 5, 6 inches shorter than that. So how did I come up with this length? Well, stand on your jump rope right in the middle, and when I jump rope, my hands are down at a slight angle. They're not up at 90 degrees across from my arm like this. When I'm jumping rope, my arms aren't up here. They're kind of down here, more relaxed. When I'm jumping rope, I have my arms down here. Now, when you do the length of your jump rope, the biggest thing is you want it to clear your head, not to hit you in the back of the head. So, a lot of it depends on your body, how you're built. I have long legs, short torso. Some people have long torso, short legs. Regardless, whatever you want to do is just stand on it with 2 feet, get your hands in about this position, and that's about the length you want your jump rope. And then this will clear your head. And then if I cut it a little too short for me, I can actually, rather than holding the jump rope here, I could hold it just on the ends a little bit, and that'll give me another 2 inches of length on either side, which is another 4 inches. So then my jump rope is longer. So that's a little trick you can do too if you accidentally cut it too short. Or I can choke up like this. So that's just how I set the jump rope up. You want it just to clear your feet when you're jumping. And that's the thing, it's really skipping rope because you're kind of doing a skipping motion. It's just a quick hopping motion. We're not really jumping. We're not going like that because that's ridiculous. So it's just a quick hop, just like that. Makes you quick. So if you need to move fast, jump roping is good for that because it teaches speed where you can move your feet quick. And so it's little short hops. So think about jumping rope in that sense. And it's just a matter of timing. So when your hands come down around, you're just going to jump before the rope gets there, and it just clears your feet. So you only have to go up maybe an inch, 2 inches at the most. So it's not as much impact as on your body as running is. So that's a little tip there. Just jump high enough for that rope to clear. And if you're having difficulties with it, just start and do a swing and come over, you do one. And just try that a few times, and then if you can do that a few times and you're just new to this, brand new, then do a couple jumps like that. You might be able to jump for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then you goof up. It's okay. Take a breather as you need it and just keep practicing on it. Sorry for the lighting. I got home a little later than I wanted to, so it's dark out here, and this is my little pit that I train in a lot of times. So. There's several different types. I'm going to show you how to shorten up a jump rope. This is a plastic type. Now, some of them will actually just be a plastic, kind of almost funnel shaped thing, and they'll just have a knot tied in the end, and it might be like a rope, an actual literal rope. So with that type is you just push that back through and retie another knot until you get adjusted the way you want, and then pull it out and cut off the excess so it's not flopping around. Now this style actually has, because this one has a little bearing in it, and it's not really necessary, but with this type it's got a little metal thing that slides on here. So in order to get it off, all you have to really do is, you can kind of see how it's been squished, is if you squeeze it the opposite way, it'll kind of open up a little bit more, and then you can slide it off. In this case it already came off, so I need to slide it back on. So we'll get this baby back on here, hopefully. Been squeezed a few times, so probably getting worn out a little bit. So since this is already egged out and kind of messed up, I'm just going to take this nail punch, I'm going to slide it in here and just kind of open it back up a little bit so it'll slide on there. You can see it's a little bit more round. Pull it back off. There we go. Then I should be able to slide this back on here and then re-crimp it. Kind of chewed up on the end a little bit. Just had it off several times. Slide that back on there. You can see how that is. Then I just need to re-crimp it. So this type of handle actually has a little plug in it, so just pop it off with a pair of pliers. Some of them don't, and there's a little washer that goes on here too, so you want to make sure that washer doesn't get lost. Make sure you got that little washer on here before you put this back on and crimp it. So slide this out a little bit toward the end, not too far. Then I'll put a little crimp in it, and that way it won't come off. Then you want to pull this back down in here. You want to make sure it's seated good so this spins. If it's not spinning properly, it's probably not all the way down in the bottom of the handle, or the washer might got hung up, because this style handle has a little crimp in here, and that washer, if it comes out, could get caught in here, so it won't spin really good. The washer actually goes against that little metal crimp, so when you pull that all down in here, it'll spin really good. You can take these little foam things off. I didn't bother to put the plugs back in because I don't need them. So that's how you can adjust this type of jump rope. And then the other one that's just like a plastic handle with a cone with a piece of rope actually in there. You just poke it through and retie a knot on it. The other way is, if you don't want to mess with that, you can simply take your jump rope and just tie a knot in it close to the handle like this. And you can do a knot or a couple knots on either side to shorten it up that way, and then you don't have to mess with it. You don't want to tie a knot here in the bottom. It might think, oh, it'll add more weight and it'll swing better, but what will happen is it makes this thicker. It's more apt to get jammed or caught under your feet. So if you tie knots in them like this in order to shorten your jump rope, do it near the handle. And you can do that with just about any kind of jump rope if you don't want to mess around with the internals of the jump rope. So that's this plastic style. I'll show you my other jump rope. Okay, this is like a TKO or Everlast makes this type of jump rope. This one again has bearings in it, and this handle has some weights in it, so it's a weighted handle. It's not necessary, but some people like them. You can see it's made out of 3 components. The little crimp on here, a little washer that sets up against this, and then that pulls up against that so this can spin. And then this is a little bearing in it. This is held in with a snap ring. So that looks like this. And you need a pair of snap ring pliers to get it out. That snap ring plier. And then you simply insert it into here and squeeze that. These aren't the best snap ring pliers, but they work. So you just kind of insert that in the hole, squeeze them. You have to be really careful with these, because if it doesn't have the little knobs, or the little knobs get worn off the tips, this snap ring will go flying and you'll never find it again. So this style, just simply drop back down in here, and if you look in here, you'll see there's a little groove that this snap ring goes into down in this wood handle. So you have to get this back down in here and get it to reseat down into that groove. There. And then just make sure it's seated in there. You might take a screwdriver, push it down in there a little bit, and you should be able to spin it around. And maybe you can see that where this little snap ring is spinning around freely, so I know it's locked into the thing. The problem with these type is this wood barrel sticks out further, so the rope, which is made out of leather, will wear on that as you're jumping rope, and eventually it might wear right through that. It could take a little while. You can put a little wax or something on there if you want. Or the other thing you can do is, if you got a sander, you can sand this down closer to the snap ring, maybe an 1/8 inch or so, and it wouldn't rub so much. But no biggie. Jump ropes are pretty cheap. If it gets ruined, just get a new one. If your jump rope's too long, what will happen is you're going to be compensating, and you're going to start realizing if it's too long, it's hitting the ground in front of you, it's going to bounce into your shins, it's going to bounce into your feet, and you're going to trip on it all the time. If it's just the right length, it's pretty easy just to jump up a little bit, and it'll go right under your feet, clear right under your feet, nice and easy, and then it'll come around over the top of your head and it won't hit you. So getting your jump rope the right length is a real big thing. The other thing is the shorter you can have your jump rope, the faster it's going to be. So initially I wouldn't worry about getting it that short. If you stick with it and you keep playing with jumping rope or skipping rope, you can gradually shorten your rope up as you get better. And then for certain tricks that people do, where they'll actually do squat jumps and stuff, that coming up and down, and some other fancy maneuvers, they'll use even a shorter jump rope a lot of times. But just start with this basic one, and keep that in mind if you're starting to practice before go day, which will be on on Tuesday, which is the 3rd. Just keep that in mind, that you want to just do little hops, just little hops. You're not trying to jump high. If you're jumping high, it's going to be harder on your body, harder on your joints, and harder on your feet. So next video I'll talk a little bit more and give you some other tips on jumping rope that'll help you out a lot. So now you know how to adjust your jump rope. If you haven't got one, go get one and get it adjusted. I'll see you tomorrow sometime.